Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm planting some storm cloud Amsonia in my garden. I'm just so excited about it. I just really wanted to make a video to show off this plant because it's beautiful. Look at this thing. So I've had this since it was dormant, so I've been able to see what it looked like growing from soil level to this size. When it first came up, the stems look dark olive green, and it kind of has that olivey shade to it, which I think is very, very pretty. It's kind of different. It's not that bright green. It's kind of more of a smoky green. And then the blooms are just clusters of these periwinkle star-shaped blooms, which I think are beautiful. And I love that it's another spring interest plant. I always tend to lean on the old standbys, the forsythia and lilac, which are all beautiful, and I think every garden should have some, but it's nice to have something different and unique. So the other thing I really like about this is the size. So they grow about 24 to 30 inches tall. That's a pretty good size perennial and about 3 feet wide. So it's almost like a small shrub. So you don't need a whole bunch of them in order to make a statement. In fact, you could use just one as a focal piece, which is awesome. So a lot of perennials, the smaller statured ones that maybe get 8 to 10 inches tall and wide, if you kind of need like several of them to make a statement, you need a bunch of them in a drift in order to really notice them. This one, you could do one and you're good to go. A couple other stats I wanted to share with you were, first, its zone. It's a zone 4 through 9, which is awesome because I live in a zone 5, so I know it's a tough plant that will survive my winters. That's one of the first things I check on the tag because I want to be able to know if it's going to actually survive if I plant it. Second thing is it can withstand full sun to part sun. This area that I'm putting it, it gets full morning sun for a couple hours, and then it gets filtered sun through this tree. There's a tree right above me, and then it gets a little bit of afternoon sun. So I think it'll do really, really well in this spot. A couple other things that I really appreciate about it, it's heat tolerant. That's awesome. In Eastern Oregon, we get so hot and it's so dry. I mean, it'll get, last year I think I got to 112 with like 3% humidity. It's a really dry heat. So to know a plant that looks this delicate will survive that is awesome. It's also adaptable to pH, so it can take higher levels, lower levels, and it'll do great. It's really adaptable that way. We have really high pH. I do work on my soil. I try to condition it and bring that pH down a bit so my plants are happier, but I like to know that plants are already okay with that. It's also deer resistant. That is not something that is super important to me because I don't have deer here in this area. I don't deal with that. I know a lot of you do though. I get asked that question all the time from you guys as to whether or not the plant is deer resistant, and this one is. The last thing about it is that the tag does say that it grows best in moist soil that's well drained, but it says that it's also fairly drought tolerant once it's established, which is awesome. So I don't really have to worry about that in this spot. It's drip irrigation, so I know it's gonna get consistent water, but it's nice to know that if something happens, if I get a leak or something, that this one won't die right away if it doesn't get a bunch of moisture. So let me tell you a little bit about where I'm gonna put it. So I've already talked to you about light requirements, but there is a water feature right to my left here, and I'm gonna kind of plant them. So this one's gonna go right here, and I kind of want it to fill in this spot and soften the backside of this water feature. So there's gonna be one here, one right here that'll be pretty much directly behind it, and then one to my right, which I'm actually gonna remove probably this little clump of daylilies and move them over. It's like right where I'm at. Oh, that plant leaked on me. Awesome. Okay. So this one will go about here so that this whole area will just be full of this plant. Now I was going to plant kind of an arc around this fountain, but there are a bunch of hostas that are coming up and I don't want to impede their growth. Hostas look beautiful too. So I'm just going to leave that side alone and let this kind of fill in. As far as planting goes, there's not a whole lot to it. I'm just going to dig a hole and put them in the ground, make sure that the root ball is nicely covered and there's no air pockets around it. Then I'll water them in really well. And like I said, this is on drip irrigation, but I will be providing supplemental water this year just because most newly planted things need a little extra help to get through, especially during the hot part of the summer. But check out how these are going to look in the end. I am so excited. I just can imagine what this is going to look like in the spring when these things are full of bloom like this one. I mean, it's just going to be so gorgeous. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video and seeing this new plant. If you have planted this before, I would love to know. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know if you have any tips or recommendations as to what I should be doing with them. Of course, we will be updating you as the season goes. You'll be able to see them in garden tours. We'll probably do a specific update just on those as well. So now I'm just going to plant them and I'm done. See you guys in the next video. Bye.